Today is a huge day for the USC women's basketball team, which opens the Pac-12 Tournament in Las Vegas as the 10th seed against 7th seed UCLA. The Trojans have to win the conference tournament to get a spot in March Madness. Guys, can they pull off an unlikely run?
Well, I'm not going to say the road ends just yet. I think they at least make it through tonight, and that's because they have the X factor. It's not Charisma Osborne, it's going to be Rhea Marshall. First team all freshman in the Pac-12. Really didn't play that great in the first two matchups against UCLA this season. In the second one, she actually put up 0 points. But since those games, she hasn't had one under 10 points. And 5 of her double-doubles this season have actually come in that time span. And head coach Lindsey Gottlieb threw in the starting 5 the past 3 games, and she has excelled. So let's do some math here. She doesn't score in a game where USC loses by 10 points. She hasn't scored under 10 points in that time frame. Guys, I think Rhea Marshall really comes out and helps USC get a dub tonight and a little bit of magic for March.
Now, guys, I know the list is long, but what went wrong for the Trojans last night, and what's your level of panic for USC heading into Saturday's crosstown showdown against UCLA?
Well, Andy Enfield really said it best. When your 3 best players are not scoring the ball, you're doomed for disaster. The 3 guys he's talking about, Drew Peterson, Boogie Ellis, Isaiah Mobley, 29 points combined. Like he said, started off 3 for 23 from the field. Not the best look for the Trojans, especially Isaiah Mobley didn't look like the defensive stud that he's been all year. Drew Peterson, who's been hot, had a little bit of a heat check, went 0 for 6 from the 3-point line. Boogie Ellis, I think we just got to accept the fact that he's not going to give you consistent play, and he's going to have these games where he's ice cold. But what we've seen and what I found interesting was that this is the first time all 3 of them have really been off. Usually Drew Peterson or Isaiah Mobley, or sometimes both of them, really steps up in place of Boogie Ellis when he's having those games, but tonight it just wasn't that.
Arizona tossed an alley-oop lob from half court against the 4th tallest team in the nation. That can't happen. The energy wasn't there. And if USC plays like they did on Saturday, UCLA will happily run them out of Pauley Pavilion.
Well, I think it comes down to really who wants it more on Saturday night. This is for the 2nd seed in the Pac-12 tournament. And as we can see, you can really determine where you go through the bracket. But USC, are they going to be angry by this loss, or are they going to start to fold over? And really, this could be the start of the downfall for this team going into March.
Michael, who do you think can improve their draft stock the most with a good showing in Indy this week?
I actually think it's the guy that's not competing or running in any of the events, and that's Drake London, the star wide receiver, Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year. He's dealt with the ankle injury since midway through last season, and I think if he were to do the 40, he wasn't going to, he'd actually diminish his draft stock at that point. The scouts know what they're getting out of Drake London. He's got the hands. He's probably the most physical receiver in the draft. He's got the size of a tight end. He's not really known for his speed, and when you say he's not running, that's really the only thing that's going to hurt him. So unless, the guys from Ohio State or Jamison Williams out of Alabama have historic combines and pro days, I don't see anyone's stock and opinion really changing on Drake London. However, I do think he should go to the combine, get measured, show off his intangibles, show the scouts that he's really a 6'5", 210 wide receiver, and that could even improve his draft stock rather than him running, doing the gauntlet, all the stuff that every wide receiver is good at.
That's going to do it for Sports Scene today. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. For Christian John Bradley and Michael Fiumefreddo, I'm Eli Kleinman. Catch you next week.